Well, there it is, the damning evidence behind me. The fact that England have been hammered for the second Test match in a row, and no one on that board has got to 100. At least England managed to get over 300 for the first time in the series, but it really was a pretty calamitous performance. We'll look back on the match and see what England can do to put it right in Perth. Well, Alistair Cook was very honest in his assessment of the game afterwards in the press conference, saying that firstly England must be much better with their shot selection, and he took some of the blame for that himself, and secondly that maybe one or two of the senior players need to stand up and show a bit more fight and appetite for the battle. The statistics show that all 10 of England's wickets in the second innings fell to balls that actually they didn't need to play, or at least most of them they didn't need to play. None of them actually would have hit the wicket. If you look at Hawkeye here, none of them actually would have hit the wicket. Even Kevin Peterson, who was out bowled, dragged one on from outside the off stump. He could have actually left it. And most of the other balls that took the wickets were balls that the batsman could have left. Joe Root perhaps was the only one who was a bit unlucky, getting an inside edge and then the ball lobbing into Brad Haddin's gloves. And actually I think Joe Root is the key to the way forward for England. If you look at how he batted in a very calm and composed way. He wasn't flustered by Mitchell Johnson's bouncers. He got out of the way, let the ball pass by inside him. He watched it and swayed out of the way. He hit some good shots as well when there was opportunities to score runs, and he looked totally composed and calm at the crease. A man who's had hardly any experience, showed a lot more senior players the way to go. I've got Derek Pringle here just to look back at what England might learn from that game. Joe Root played really well. Can other players play like him?
Well, he applied himself, showed great resolve, a lot of courage. I'm sure they can, yes. I mean, I just think people are lacking a bit of confidence at the moment, and that's the big issue. You need to spend time at the crease, and some of them aren't giving themselves a chance to do that. Is
it about taking the hook shot completely out of the equation, or maybe playing it when you're in a little bit, judging it better?
I think you can play the hook shot in Australia. The pitches tend to be pretty evenly bounced. I mean, the one they're going to play it next, the Wacko, is famous for its very steep bounce, but it is quite even once you get in there, and you can judge it well. I would say perhaps don't hook until you feel you're in, but a lot of people try to take it on. Alistair Cook, we saw, hooked Mitchell Johnson the only third ball he faced, and it didn't end well.
You said Steve Waugh was a particularly interesting case, because he wasn't a particularly good player at the short ball, and yet he never got out to it, and obviously scored lots of runs in Australia. So what was his blueprint?
Well, I think he didn't try and keep the ball down. I mean, he gave it the kitchen sink, and that was a mistake Michael Carberry made, I felt, in this match. He actually controlled the shot quite well, but in trying to keep it down, paid the price. I mean, it was a very good catch by David Waugh in the first innings, and in the second innings he just found the fielder on the leg side fence. So a little bit unlucky, but...
So can England come back from here?
It's going to be difficult. Perth is not a place where we win very often. Once since Test began there in 1970, so big ask. But this team beat Australia 3-0 not so long ago. Somehow they've got to try and find the spirit that gave them that victory. My feeling is that actually England's fast bowlers might be a bit more effective in Perth than they were here, so they can get Australia out cheaply. The problem is, can England make enough runs? Anyway, despite the fact that England can't play Test cricket, there is one compensation, and that is at least we compose better pop songs. See you in Perth.
England. Had a bad day with the cricket.